areas, but mainly in Europe, 548 invasion battles by the Arab colonists. And they were driven back by the Crusades. And what you had at the end was the Ottoman Empire, which took over half of the Balkans in Europe, took over what we now know as Turkey, otherwise known as Anatolia, took over the Levant and half of North Africa up till 1925. Right, so that was a period when Saudi Arabia wasn't a strong country, obviously. But after the breakup of the Ottoman Empire, the Caliphate, in 1925, it's when your modern Middle East countries developed. And eventually, it was decolonised. The British Empire exited from most of the Middle East. But the Crusades were a glorious period of history where the Catholic Church stood up and asserted itself in the defence of Europe and in the defence of the lives and the rights of Christians and Jews going to pilgrimage in Jerusalem and to protect the Christian heritage in Jerusalem. And it was of great success. And extraordinary military achievements of the Israeli Defense Forces in pushing back against Islamic terror and Islamic colonialism. Well done. That's why you have a decent country now in Israel, a decent open democracy, a diverse society and democracy, where you don't have this monoculture of Islam enforced over people. But there's been atrocities by some IDF soldiers as well. I am not for a moment condoning that either. Maybe there's need for greater self-control on both sides. So Israeli settlement is a good thing. Building a beautiful country is a good thing. Replacing an absolute shithole of Gaza is a good thing. And we need to liberate the people of Gaza from Hamas for them to have any decent future, a future free from hatred and bigotry and poverty and unnecessary war. So it's great that the Israeli Defense Forces are driving out the Hamas terrorists. Godspeed to them.
Leo, what's your channel tagline?
Leo Robinson 4394. It's that squiggly A at the start of it.
Robinson 3 what?
4394. Lebanon, much of Lebanon was liberated from Islamic terror and persecution. Look up Bridget Gabrielle, who speaks eloquently about what she went through as a teenager in Lebanon. Horrific things was happening in Lebanon because of the rise of Hezbollah, Iran-backed terrorists in Lebanon. Horrific things going on. Yeah. And the United Kingdom is going through a Lebanonization. We need to be very careful that we don't go down the same path as Lebanon did in the run-up to its persecution of its Christians and its native peoples. Latest figures. Let's have a look. 61,709 people killed in Gaza, including about 18,000 children. What, 2 years old, are they?
Yeah, there's thousands more people being murdered by Zionists since then.
Yeah, it's about 70,000 people killed in Gaza. Israel, but just over 1,000 people killed in Israel. Terrorists, by the way. Occupied West Bank. Terrorists and their human shields, unfortunately. Yeah. In shit. Right. So there you go. What is that? It's a percentage of 2.1 million people in Gaza. That's that's probably 3%, right? If you do get your calculator out, probably about 3% of the population of Gaza has been killed in that war. 2.5 years. Not bad. Good, great self-control by the Israeli Defense Forces. Great self-control in absolutely purging Hamas terrorists from Israel for the benefit of everybody. More self-control would be better, and some IDF soldiers have been known to commit atrocities. That should be punished. They should be imprisoned and punished for that, made an example of, and it's wrong for Israel to fail to do that. But that's not actually that bad. 3% of the 3% of the Gaza Strip. Imagine 3% of the populations of Birmingham and Manchester get killed in a civil war. You'd be thanking the army. You'd be thanking the army for not allowing the bloodshed to spread any further. So there we are. Again, Beirut, Lebanon. The terrorists, the Hezbollah terrorists, putting human shields in front of the soldiers and military equipment. What is Israel supposed to do? Let the terrorists take control of everything? No. The rules of war have been upheld.
Leo, you should video that.
Which one?
Talk about the rules of war.
Which?
335 bullets into a car with a family and a child in, and then the attending medics who came to answer the call annihilated as well. Talk about rules of war.
Yes. There has been, to be fair to you, there has been some atrocities by IDF soldiers.
Atrocities.
Yeah.
The whole affair is an atrocity.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's a completely justified war. It's completely justified as a war, but there have been some atrocities. That's an example of one.
When you build a concentration camp,
it's not a concentration.
Of course it is.
Well, it is. It is.
An apartheid state.
It's not. It's not operated by Israel. It's operated by the Hamas terrorists. They're the one who are keeping the so-called Palestinian people hostage in Gaza Strip.
Well, that's not true, don't you?
No, I know it is true. They're keeping human shields hostage, and they're withholding food as well. They're withholding food aid and selling food on us with high prices. That's what Hamas terrorists have done.
They're part of the political representation. And much was the Republican Army.
45% voted in the Hamas terrorists decades ago, and they've never had an election since.
You just use it's almost like you in order to.
So they've never had an election since. That's not a democracy.
The only way you can sustain your analysis, right, is by misdescribing.
But I haven't misdescribed it. There's been one election in the Gaza Strip, right? One election, Hamas won 45% of the vote, and then they took over as a military dictatorship.
Who've been extending,
and there's been no election since. That's not a I've explained it factually and truthfully.
They're in what they call it. Israel is an occupied territory administered by Israel, isn't it?
The Gaza Strip is occupied by Hamas terrorists holding the people of Gaza hostage. It's a military dictatorship of Islamic terror.
Again, that's what I'm saying. You have to construct an actual lexicon of words.
Yeah, but you Palestine, Palestine ideologically programmed people,
right? Describe us as terrorists here. Are we Hamas?
You're just gullible. You're just gullible. You've been brainwashed, yeah.
But you haven't.
No, I haven't. I looked at the historical facts. I look at the historical facts. I researched the history.
Independently, come to a conclusion based upon the facts that you're assembling to sustain your argument. But they're being contradicted, right? As you
contradicted by lies by the Pro Palestine people.
This is history.
No, much of it is lies. There's no apartheid in Israel. It's not an occupation. Israel is not an occupation. It's a genuine country.
But it's occupied by an illegal entity, an illegal force that wasn't there 75 years ago. And
no, it's completely legitimate. It's a completely legitimate government and a completely legitimate nation.
It's not, is it? Because they don't hold elections, do they?
No, they do hold elections in Israel. What are you talking about?
Palestinians are not part of the electoral process.
Because Hamas won't let them.
No, Palestinians are not part of the electoral process.
Because
they've been there for 75 years.
Because Hamas won't let them.
They've been there for 75 years.
No, the Palestinians in Israel, outside of the Gaza Strip, can take part in elections.
No, they haven't.
But not the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip because of Hamas.
Again, I see you're having to construct an alternative.
No, that's a fact. That's the truth.
Well, it's not the truth.
It's a diverse society. Israel is a diverse and tolerant society. And the pro-Palestine people are opposed to diverse and open societies in general.
The millions of people, like scholars, academics, politicians.
Yeah, Marxist liars, basically. Marxist liars.
Again, you have to make a caricature to sustain.
No, but I have to tell the truth because the facts stack up in my favour.
So what you're saying is the truth. And
yeah.
What everybody else is saying.
No, not what everybody else. What gullible pro-Palestine people are saying. Right. I wouldn't use the word idiot. That's you put that word in.
Gullible. No,
yeah, you're gullible. Yeah.
Right. But you're not gullible, right?
No.
You're immune to gullibility. How does that work then? How does that work? How are you?
Education, history.
Well, so
there was a time many years ago when I was gullible, but that was many years ago. I've educated myself since then.
There's 2 cabinets of books, and history. There are map books for you to consult.
I've been reading On Democracies and Death Cults by Douglas Murray. That's a very good book on recent history.
Definitely a death cult.
Well, that book you showed me there, I'd like to look into that. I'd have a look at that book as well.
You should listen to people who've studied the region for the whole of their lives, and when they speak and they give you the information for you to consider.
Yeah.
Right, consider that information.
Yeah.
Not by viewing the people who are supplying it as being gullible idiots, but as being scholars, right? And if you're
well, scholars can be liars as well, though.
If you're considering yourself to be a person capable of discernment and reading,
if they're Marxists, they're certainly liars. Well, Marxists always lie because it's extremely ideological.
Well, they have an account of history.
An ideological account, an ideological narrative that agrees with Marxist theory.
You've got an ideological perspective.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
You've got an ideological perspective, and some people agree with you, and some people disagree with you. But the nature of being a rational human being is you can have a discussion, and you can, from whichever opinion you have, you can pick out the facts and find out if the facts that you're actually starting to build your worldview on, right, are true.
Yeah,
or fabricated. Now,
all these people seem to be mixed between pro-Palestine protesters, but some of the pictures seem to be of people from Palestine itself, right?
They're people. Is
that right?
That whole exhibition, the children of people who've been on the demonstrations in Leeds for the last 2 or 3 years, 2.5 years.
Does that not include pictures of
English
Palestine people from Gaza
born
then?
in England. Those are all people born in England, right?
Right, okay.
Yeah, like, because the people, if we were to put up the children, the 18,000 murdered children from Palestine.
What about the ones that are alive, though?
But if we were to put up the 18,000 that have been murdered in the last 2 years,
killing in war isn't murder, is it?
37, a classroom of school children, 37 children every day for the last 2.5 years. If we were to put them up here, right, and you were to walk around and see those,
so there's no,
you would have a very difficult.
Is there no photographs of actually what's going on in Gaza today here?
There's tons of them.
Here.
The present day, we need to develop the present day. It was like,
so
in the last 2 years, things have been so horrific.
That looks like well, there is there is some photos. There is some photos in there. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
so that when you're
fair enough.
So your channel, if it's going to be like true to the pursuit of honesty and scholarship, right, will bring to the attention of your viewers, right, that there is a prehistory, right?
Yeah.
There is map books.
I'd encourage people to come. I'd encourage people to come and have a look for themselves.
All you'd have to do is get a map book, right? Because you were disputing the actual existence of Palestine. All you've got to do is get any map book produced in the West before 1948. And look at the landmass of the flag for that landmass. Right.
Well, I don't know about the flag.
Well, you don't know, but I do, because I've had a look at those maps. Right, have a look. It's in
I don't think the British mandate of Palestine allowed a Palestine flag to fly around the place.
Pre-1948,
I very much doubt
there is no Zionist flag. There is no Zionist flag in the Atlas.
No, but it hasn't been created. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Right?
Yeah, obviously.
So you've got hundreds of years of map and cartographers working and identifying landmass and describing landmass.
Yeah.
Right, and they describe that landmass as Palestine.
Okay.
Right. And they accredit it with the flag.
People can look into it for themselves.
Come here
as well.
Now. You should
come here and have a look at these displays.
If you're being a genuine seeker of that truth, you should bring that to your people, because most of the people that
I've actually brought up a map of that area before 1948. I've got a map of that as well, and at least one. There's
hundreds of them. Yeah, you could go online and just type it in, maps of Palestine, and
there's no photographs of the Israeli hostages that were taken into Gaza by the terrorists. Then, so there's no photographs of the Israeli hostages.
Right. Okay.
Here, is there?
No, there's no.
Why is that then?
Well, why would we have? Where would we get those photographs from?
Well, you'd get them from Jewish organisations, wouldn't you?
Well,
obviously. People who, Jewish relatives of the Jews who have been taken hostage into Gaza.
The thousands of people who were in
some of which live in Britain.
And the 400 children who were in administrative detention in Israel.
I expect they'd be treated a lot better than the hostages kept by Hamas terrorists.
I mean, they've been brutalised, like raped by... if you can watch any footage...
I don't condone any... atrocity committed by either side.
Yeah, well, you have to, as a platitude, putting that out, that's one thing, right? And then demonstrating that and making it visible to your, your subscribers, like on your channel, right?
Yeah.
It would be more honest.
But it doesn't seem honest to me that there's a history of Palestine.
5 minutes, then we're off.
And there's no pictures, no photographs of any of the Israeli hostages taken into Gaza, kidnapped by the Hamas terrorists. That seems to me very disingenuous, very dishonest of this museum. Yeah.
Well, there are no pictures of people in detention. There are no photographs because,
is there even anything describing what happened on October the 7th?
This is a Palestinian museum. Yeah. Of course there is.
So Israeli people don't count as Palestinian then?
Of course, everybody condemns...
the people in the south of Israel who were raped and murdered and kidnapped, they don't count as Palestine people then, right?
Well, they count as people who were subject to the horror of war, right, on that particular day, and the 75 years preceding that day, right, on the horrors of the people.
So the thing is justified. It's a revenge.
It's not justification, but it's if you're being honest, to dwell on one particular day.
Well, thousands of people were killed, and hundreds of people were kidnapped.
There's been 450 wars since 1945, right? In the globe, as you've grown up, I don't know how old you are. Maybe
48, nearly.
I'm 67. In my lifetime, right, since 1945, when they declared the United Nations up to built organisations to end the war, to end all wars. Since that time, right, there's a Swedish university that's done research on conflict.
Right.
There's been 437 wars since then, right?
Yeah.
Right. So there's 400. So it's a feature of
the Middle East,
of Western, not in the Middle East. This is globally, right?
Oh, right.
That's global wars.
Global wars, right?
So all over the world right now. What tends to happen with people adopting your perspective is that you sort of seem to really focus on one day.
No, I report on genocides going on in Nigeria, in Syria, in Iraq, in Congo. There's so many places where, especially Islamic genocide against Christians, is happening right now, but it seems like we're only allowed to talk about the so-called genocide of Palestine when there's no actual genocide in the Gaza Strip at all.
437 wars then that have happened since World War II.
Yeah,
largely precipitated by Western imperialism in one form or another, requires of the West. Would you call that like Christian fundamentalism?
No, because Western ruling classes are Satanists in secret.
Satanists, not Christians.
Not Christians, no.
Right.
Tony Blair, Peter Mandelson, George W.R. Bush, all these saboteurs, Frankists and secretive
What about Nigel
Satanists.
Farage? Is he in that group?
Probably.
Rupert Lowe?
No, certainly not Rupert Lowe, but maybe Nigel Farage, yeah.
Right. So you have a political ideology, you have a political outlook, right, and you're pursuing an approach to supposedly informing people on your channel, right?
Yeah.
But not in a genuine way.
I would look up Leo Zagami, by the way, viewers. Leo Zagami on the Sabbatean Frankists. He's got a lot of knowledge about the Sabbatean Frankists in the ruling classes of many of these Western countries and Israel and Saudi Arabia as well. He's moved to America because they have the freedom of speech in America. He's safe there. So yeah, look up Leo Zagami to do with Sabbatean Frankists and Fabian socialists. And to be fair to the Marxists, are kicking back against Fabian socialism. So Marxists have some valid points as well. But I think we've given a well-rounded.
We're having to close now. So.
I think we have a well-rounded.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Education.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Fella? Nabi. Yeah, thank you, Nabi. Bye.